Oluwaseyi Adewumi Ajetumobi. Please can we give the Honorable Commissioner a round of applause as we lead out to, can we let someone lead out to the high table? Honorable Commissioner for Health. Please can we lead out to the high table? Thank you very much. All right, next to the high table this morning, while we wait for other commissioners to join us, we'd like to invite up there, of course, a professor okay, let me introduce first Professor Shola Olopade. Professor Shola Olopade. All right, Professor Shola Olopade is the MD, NPH, FCCP, Professor and Associate Academic Dean for Academics, Advancements, Biology Science Division, and Pritzker School of Medicine, University of Chicago. All right, overall principal investigator for the HAPCOG project. Please, can we give him a round of applause again? Thank you very much for coming, sir. All right, I'd also like to bring to the high table a professor of obstetric and gynecology. He's been doing a lot when it comes to issues that have to do with women. And of course, permit me to invite no other person but Professor Oladosu Ojengbede. Please, to the high table. All right, also to the high table in no particular order, I'd like to invite to the high table the representative of the Chief Medical Director of the University College Hospital, UCH, Professor Olubukola Adeshino, to the high table. Thank you very much. All right, I'd like to invite to the podium the Provost College of Medicine, University College Hospital, Professor T.O. Ogundiran, University of Ibadan. I'd like to invite to the high table, apologies, to the high table, University of Ibadan Provost, Professor T.O. Ogundiran. Thank you very much, sir. Also to the high table, all right, we'll be inviting other dignitaries to the high table as we continue. But permit me to recognize eminent persons that are here this morning. And I'll take it on from the Deputy Provost. Would like to appreciate and recognize you for coming. Professor S.B. Olaleye, please can you rise for recognition? All right, I would also like to appreciate and welcome, especially, we have Mr. A.F. Odedele, Secretary to the college. Please can you rise? All right, thank you very much for coming. All right, also recognizing the presence of Mr. S.O. Ayoshino, the Financial Controller. Thank you very much for coming. Also, Dr. Grace A. Ajuro, the Medical Librarian. We appreciate you for coming. Thank you, ma. Also, Professor Oyinke A. Oduola, Oduola, apologies, sir. Apologies, ma. Dean, Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences. Apologies, ma'am. All right, I also go to the Dean, Faculty of Clinical Sciences, Professor T.A. Lawal. Thank you for coming. Also, Dean, Faculty of Public Health, Professor M.D. Dairo. Thank you for coming. All right, we also like to recognize the Director, IAMRAT, IMRAT, Professor Ikeoluwapo O Ajayi. Principal Assistant Registrar, Provost Office, Mrs. Fumilola O Enobabo. All right, Mr. A.B. Adelako, Principal Executive Officer, Provost Office. All right, also would like to bring to the high table right about now, Healthy Life for All Foundation BOT Chairman is currently here as we speak, Mr. Olumide Koya. Please to the high table, please. To the high table. Can we please take him to the high table? All right, I'd like to also recognize persons that are here. All right, to also recognize a member of the BOT. She's a board member, Professor Aderonke Bayoloju, former DVC academics and at the University of Ibadan, and the BOT member. Please can we give her a round of applause? All right, recognizing persons that are here already. We also like to recognize matron. Okay, matron of the PAC in Oroyo. Okay, we have matron Ayuade Olufunke. Please, can we recognize you? Thank you for coming. The matron at Agbogbo PHC, matron Babatunde Aisha. Thank you for coming, ma. All right, at Alabata PHC, matron Oyedejo Oluwaseun. Thank you for coming. Matron Zachariah Fauzat Aijayi, PHC. Thank you for coming. Thank you, ma. Akinyele, PHC. Matron Abimbola Yinka Rachel. A round of applause, please. Ikereku, PHC. Ikereku, sorry, PHC. Ikereku, PHC. We have Matron Aderoju Bosede. Okay, we'd like to also recognize the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Health in person of Dr. Ainde Akintunde. Thank you very much for coming, sir. Then we'd like to recognize Bale Abafa. Bale Abafa. We have in person of Bale Said. What's this? Okay, so we'll take other recognitions as we continue. All right, the Director of Public Health, Dr. Babatunde Akintunde, Director of Public Health. You're welcome this morning, sir. Deputy Director of Public Health, Dr. Karim, Iyabo H. You're welcome. Please, can we appreciate the doctor? Thank you very much, ma'am. Dean, Faculty of Public Health, HOD Environmental Health Science, Dr. Temitope Laniyo. Please, can we appreciate Dr. Temitope? All right, we'll go to the next on the program. Of course, everyone is special here this morning. And can we please appreciate ourselves and give ourselves a round of applause? Thank you very much for coming this morning. We'll be taking other introductions as we continue. All right, for the welcome remarks, of course, to take the welcome remarks, we'd like to invite forward the Emeritus Professor Oladosu Ojengbede, Professor of Obstetric and Gynecology, Director, Center for Population Reproductive Health, University of Ibadan. Can we please welcome him with a round of applause? Please, can we appreciate Professor as he comes forward? Let's continue to clap for Professor until he gets here.
Thank you, Jadi. Let me say good morning to everyone here. I'm so pleased to see the array of diversity of professional holders, community members, and are bringing all the staff here, those who are going to have to follow up on whatever we discuss here today. Secretary Ministry of Health and all the directors that have come with the Honorable Commissioner, other commissioners that may be here, I believe the Commissioner of Ministry of Environment, and the Permanent Secretary, they will be here. And I quickly move on to other directors from other ministries, Ministry of Women Affairs, that also may be present in this hall. And then my Oga, my Provost. Provost, College of Medicine, a gentleman, Professor Gundiron, and the Deputy Provost. He has also come with all the key officers, principal officers of the College of Medicine. You know, it underscores the importance of a meeting like this, which is meant to be a stakeholders meeting, to discuss results of a research. Here we have other university professors who either are members of the team of, see later when the result is presented. And also the matrons of the facilities where this research was conducted, all of you from Ijaye, from Alabata, from Oronyo and Agbongbon, you are most welcome. And we'd like to appreciate you for your dedicated effort in ensuring that this research was carried out according to protocol. I think having said that, I welcome all of you, and to let you know that what we call this meeting, I think it's important. Research should not be for just doing research. Research should lead to a policy or practice change somehow. It should improve the quality of life of the people on whom the challenge that was researched into was identified in the first place. The slogan of gown and town coming together. And we do hope that at the end of this meeting this morning, we will go with a lot of messages that we can take away to our different vocations, our offices, where we have influence, and implement some of the recommendations that have come out, emanated from the research. Once again, I welcome each and every one of us. We wish you happy listening, and we pray that when you leave, you will actually take messages away that you propagate beyond what we have done. Thank you, and good morning once again.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the Emeritus Professor Oladosu Ojengbede. And of course, we've all listened to what research, you know, what this has to do to all of us, the impact, the advantage to our community and our society at large. And I want to crave our indulgence to please pay attention so that we can take a lot out of here today. Of course, the next on the agenda is the keynote address. Charity, they say, begins at home. The need for clean cooking and a healthier indoor environment. All right, before we bring forward the professor to do this, I would like to quickly recognize the following persons. We'd like to recognize Dr. Olushola, DC Mark UCH. Please, ably represented. Okay, he's representing Oluwashola, Dr. Oluwashola. I'm just being corrected. Okay. Okay, so on the HAPCOG project, there's a co-principal investigator. He is Professor G. Falade. Please, can we appreciate the professor? Professor, thank you very much. Apologies, I'm just recognizing you because you've been here all along. Please, can we appreciate him again? Professor Falade, thank you very much, sir. All right, we'd also like to recognize Professor Taiwo. I'm being given that name. Professor Taiwo, you're welcome this morning. Thank you very much for coming. All right, also here this morning, Professor Ganiyu Ariola is also a co-principal investigator on the HAPCOG project. Thank you very much, sir. All right, on the next, of course, like I said earlier, that we're going to be looking at the keynote address. Of course, charity the same begins at home. To do that for us, Professor of Medicine, Associate Dean of Academic Advancement, Biological Science Division, and the Pritzker School of Medicine, University of Chicago, is Professor Shola Olokbade, MBBS, MPH, FCCP. Please let's invite forward Professor Shola Olokbade to take the keynote address. Please can we clap for him? It's not easy to put this together. It's a lot of work.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be here, and I want to stand on all existing protocol. This is what I'm trying to do is to try and see how I can capture the work that we've done for over 2 decades, and it's wonderful to see some of my colleagues, friends, the institutions that are here. More importantly, to have all the leaders. What I would do in picking this, if you can start showing the slides instead of my face, I would prefer that. You know, what I thought I would do is the caption is, sorry, I'm still in the Chicago thermostat, so it's quite hot here for me. If I'm sweating, it's not because I'm nervous, but the temperature is hot for me. In choosing the topic, charity begins at home, is very, very important to me because as an ethicist, what I thought was I will use an ethics framework to tell this initial part of the story before we start getting into some of the specific results. And what I wanted to start with is the concept of privilege, you know? And I'm here because, you know, I had that opportunity to go to the fantastic medical school at the College of Medicine. If it's okay, I'll take off my jacket, folks. Is that all right? So I had the opportunity and privilege of going to the, okay. You know, no, this is not the one. This is the wrong one. I had the privilege of attending the College of Medicine, and I'll be dating myself. This was about 46 years ago, you know, and to be here, my wife is not here, but we were classmates in medical school, and went to the U.S. in 1983. Little did we know that the incredible education that we got at the University of Chicago, of $150,000 and $300,000 loans at the end of their medical school education. So we got free education here. We were very good. And we thought the least we could do was to keep coming back home to share some of the things that we were learning for over 20 years. We've been coming here because to whom much is given, a lot more is. So if people don't understand why we've been coming, you know, that's why, because we went to school for free here. And, you know, we've risen up to be at the top of our career in America. So I want to thank especially Professor Ojengbede, who was senior registrar when we were little peons and medical students, collaborators with me for the last 20 years. So thanks for being there. It's amazing how, so where do I point this? Here? You know, my objective today is to highlight a few things, bring out the concept of energy poverty, because that's the underpinning of all of the challenges that we've seen and the research that we've done for all of these years. I'm an asthma specialist, and that's the context that I've met and worked with Professor Falade and Ariola for over 2 decades. And what brought me back home was really to try and understand asthma better in Nigeria, because in America, all the black people were having so much asthma. I didn't think we had that much asthma here. So I was intrigued to try and understand whether our exposure to dirt when we were young, we played in the dirt and all of that, had a potential impact on the integrity of our immune system. And in doing that, that would be another lecture for an entire day. We went to homes in Igbora, Abanla, and Erua, which was where we community work. And that was the center where we were doing these studies. And in the effort to go inside the homes to get dust samples for allergies, because if you know that asthma is usually driven by allergies, we saw the environment. I wish you could show some of these slides, because what we saw inside the homes were blackened walls where people were cooking with firewood. And it was really an aha moment for me, because I was looking for allergies, and the way I captioned the slide, if they can, the problem of air pollution actually found me. Because I then went back to the US to try and put what we found in Erua and Abanla, just by looking into where people cook and what they were inhaling, to put it in context. And it turns out that that simple effort of cooking for your family with firewood, which may be all that you have, and kerosene all over the world, the poor people in the world have the same attribute. It kills 3 million people every year prematurely, mostly women and just because why should people die appropriately? And they really welcomed us to do this work. And that was the beginning of engagement. This was 2008, 2009. And I wish we could see all of these photos where, you know, I still had hair on my head then, much younger then. And what we did at that time was we actually went into some of the homes of our women when they were cooking to look at the indoor air quality when they were cooking, 1 hour into the peak of cooking. And even before they started cooking, we looked at the indoor air quality. And the indoor air quality in those homes was at the level more than the WHO expected standard before cooking, meaning that there is no really good circulation. And for people who are here from public health, I'm hoping that we can, create policies that would allow, the construction of homes in a way that there is good circulation. Because as a pulmonary doctor, if there is no good circulation in this room, we're going to be exchanging TB, viruses, and infections that we have. So even before starting, the indoor air quality showed that the PM 2.5 level was above WHO standard, which was 30. And at the peak of cooking, 1 hour into cooking, the level was up to 5,000. 5,000 microgram per meter squared. WHO standard around that time was 30. Now it's been actually lowered to 5,000. That's what our women and the little kids, when they're on their back, were being exposed to. So I got a humanitarian award from the American College of Chest Physicians. They gave me about $25,000. So what I did was, after finding those high levels, I then invested in this, what they call the rocket stove, which are, just the regular stoves, but lined with ceramic, so that without imposing any economic embarrassment on these families, they could still cook with the firewood. But then you have brown carbon and all these toxic exposures. So we gave these stoves to all of these women. I mean, in fact, in selecting the homes, we chose homes where there was a mother and a child who was at least 6 years function test in this, and we captured all of the symptoms that they were having before and after introduction of these stoves. We also measured the carbon monoxide levels, because carbon monoxide kills. And I learned a lot in Igbora and Erua, because the carbon monoxide level in some of those homes is not really compatible with life, as we would see it in practice in America, where you have carbon monoxide poisoning and people come to the emergency room. The carbon monoxide level was around 100 to 120 parts per million. All right? So the introduction of these improved firewood stoves actually brought down the PM 2.5 level to about 150 from about 5,000, which was remarkable, and levels disappeared completely. And the symptoms that were related to, yeah, you can see what we saw. This is what I meant by the problem of air pollution found me. We went in there for allergies. This was what we found, and I just couldn't stop thinking about this. So let me just keep going. This is what people cook with. These are pictures from Bangladesh, just to show you that poor people all over the world, when they don't have access, they do all kinds of incredible things. The sticks that you see there are all wrapped with dung. This is animal dung that people use, and they put it on the backs of trees. These are pictures that I took from Bangladesh. So poor people all over the world have this same challenge. But because, and then I just want to highlight here, because this is not an issue that is unknown, but it's unknown to so many of us. If you look at the global burden of disease, this is from 1990 and from 2050. And if you look even in the 2015 revision, all of my public health people are here, you can see that ambient air pollution is still there, household air pollution. So if you're looking globally, it's the biggest underestimated problem that we have that we can easily do something about, okay? So just moving forward, this is, you can say maybe that was 1990. This is looking at all mortality, both sexes. Next to hypertension, air pollution is next. Next to hypertension is air pollution. So if we're not taking anything away from this feedback that we're giving, I just want to sensitize all of us to the challenges posed by exposure to ambient air pollution and to household air pollution, especially the most disadvantaged among us. So it's not only the most disadvantaged, because we all ambient pollution level, especially with generators going from your household to the next house. So let me just move this. I mean, this is just very sobering if you put it in context. You know, it accounts for 1 out of 8 deaths. Oh, no, don't go that way. Oh, how do I get this to go back? This is moving forward. Okay, maybe I should just keep talking without this slide. How do I make it go back? Anyway, the bottom line, make it go back. Okay, yes, yeah, okay. This one and then this one. Forward. Yeah. Yeah, what I wanted to just underscore on this slide, 1 out of 8 deaths worldwide, greater than 80% of these deaths are related to exposure to PM 2.5. And it kills about 700,000 children every year. You know, just let that sink in. This is a big problem. And that's why I'm actually happy that we're doing here in the local government, where our matrons, our commissioners, and people who can influence policies are, okay? And if you put it in context, if you look at major threats to life expectancy, if you look at the extreme right here, this is air pollution. Extreme strength, you can look at all the other ailments, nothing comes close. If you look at potential gains in life expectancy in the 10 most populous countries in the world, where Nigeria is, this is Nigeria. These are the potential gains if we can start addressing this problem, okay? And if you're looking at global trend alone, this is for our country. If you look at the potential threats to life expectancy in Nigeria, here you go. You can see that those related to PM 2.5 that's above WHO standards is still number 3. Anyway you dice it. And if you look at the average PM 2.5 levels, this is ambient, not indoor. The indoor one is crazy high. But even the ambient level, when you look at the river delta area in Nigeria, that's it all there. About 25, 30, this is where the WHO standard is. This is the average. The non-delta area, this is what you get, but for the delta area. Okay, so we have problems even in the, when you look at the ambient level, which doesn't seem terrible, but I won't go into, and if you look at mortality globally, this is where Nigeria is. The number of people that are exposed, 70% of Nigerian population are exposed, and it kills 70,000 people every year in Nigeria. Preventable. You know, accidents, all of those things happen, but anything that's preventable that affects mostly our women and our children less than 5, just because they're cooking to take care of their families, should really be unacceptable. All right? So what did we do? I mean, and then people can ask the question, but why? Why is it so bad? They say a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. This is it. You can see that when people are cooking, when those kids are still very young, they put them on their backs. You can see the intimate relationship between the firewood and the inhalation of particulate matter and all these toxic metals. Okay, the health implications is what we're going to try and get to in the next 2 presentations, but I just wanted to sensitize you to all of this. But as I was saying before, yeah, this was in 2008 in Erua and Abanla. You remember I told you when I sat with the community leaders, sensitizing them to this problem, and they wholeheartedly welcomed us into their community to this work. And this is the this is carbon monoxide. Okay. Yeah, this is the carbon monoxide level that came down, and this is the PM 2.5 level that came to about 125, 150, but the residual pollution in the households remained. So irrespective of what we did, people were still being exposed to more than almost 5 times the WHO standard for indoor air quality. And when you look at the pulmonary function in these children, Professor Falade will understand what I'm talking about here. Our people don't smoke. Our children don't smoke. This is looking at pulmonary function in the children. Okay, this is pulmonary function in our children. And you can see here about 40% of them had obstructive changes in their lungs. These are 6-year-old children. They don't smoke. But that intimate exposure to smoke with mom putting them on their backs, this is the result. And when you look at the mothers, maybe I don't have the one for them. The mothers, it's the same thing. They don't smoke. They have similarly impaired obstructive lung disease. Okay? And then going forward, this is just relating the symptoms that we captured. Headache, I mean, people who have cooked in that environment understand what this, that exposure causes headaches, running nose, fever, chest tightness, all of the burning eye. The great okay? And so what started thinking, what I started thinking and exploring, having found this is, okay, what are we going to do next? These rocket stoves were helpful in improving the indoor air quality, but our people were still being exposed to levels that were still far from the WHO standard. This data actually informed what we were going to do next. Because on the left side of this slide, this is in Nigeria, not America, okay? You can look at the scale here. The redder it is, this is the use of unclean fuels for cooking. On the right side, this is the adverse birth outcomes. Miscarriages, small for gestational age, all of those things. You can see the parallel between the use of unclean fuels and adverse pregnancy outcomes. Okay? So that was phase one of our thinking, but as I told you, air pollution found me, and I wasn't going to give up on this challenge. So we started thinking about what are we going to do? And I'm going to pose this question to end this session so that we can then go to the sessions to give you information on what we did next. And the question that I was asking is straightforward. Do we have a moral imperative to protect the poor and our women and children who are the most vulnerable to the adverse consequences of exposure to ambient and household air pollution? And I'm asking this question because I know we have all of our leaders here. You know, is this kind of data, is this kind of stuff that we can ignore, or should we really figure out a way to mitigate some of these challenges? You can't really do much work like this without support. I got the funding from the United Nations Foundation, the American College of Chest Physicians, and a very good friend of ours in Chicago, Keep Out Foundation. But what I just shared with you is actually just the tip of the iceberg, because what I'm hoping we'll share next is a video clip of where we are, where we're going, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what we did in the last slide that I showed you that showed that exposure and adverse pregnancy outcome to see what we needed to do. And that was the beginning of some of the work that we started doing in 2010. And then the one that we started doing 5 years ago in chronological order to show you some of the things we've done following some of these observations, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because the next set of studies that we did were actually in pregnant women to show the impact. And following that, we followed some of the children from that for up to 10 years. And we have data to share with you to show the impact of that pregnancy on cognitive function, even as those children grow up. But I just wanted to share this initial address to sensitize all of you to what we've been doing, to appreciate all of you, and to appreciate the institution that made us to know what we are doing, and to let people understand why we've been coming home. Because America has been good for us, but you know, what makes me feel most fulfilled is to be able to do work. I mean, I chose to come and do my work here in Nigeria. My wife similarly chose to do her work here in Nigeria for the past 2 decades. And for our colleagues, our collaborators who have stayed with us to on this journey to do this work, I want to thank you and hope that at the end of this day, where we are going to also hear from some of the pregnant women who participated in some of these studies, who have been with us for 10 years, you know, to hear directly from them their concerns. We have our ballets and leaders here. I'm really looking forward to an even more exciting morning. But thanks for coming, and I appreciate all of you. Thanks.
Can we please appreciate our dear professor for this great work, Professor Shola Olopade, Professor of Medicine, Associate Dean of Academics Advancement, Biological Science Division, and the Prestige School of Medicine, University of Chicago. Please, can we appreciate him again for doing this great work? I'm sure we have understood so much from what Prof. has said. He has said a lot, and it's quite a lot, and it must start now. It's a collective effort, and we must come together to call for an end to air pollution in our communities. Please, can we appreciate him again and give him a round of applause? Prof, thank you for coming home to do this. We value what you are doing, and of course, we value all that has been done by the College of Medicine. All right, I'll quickly take recognitions before we go to that video, to that documentary. Permit me to recognize again the matron from Akinyele Primary Health Care Center, Matron Abimbola Inka Rachel. You're asked to go to the high table. Where are you? Matron, where are you? Please, can we give her a round of applause as she, please, let's fill this side of the high table quickly. All right, I'd like to invite to the high table and recognize this morning Are Oladapo Wasiu, Bale of Aroland, Akinyele Local Government. Bale, Karaole Babao, we appreciate you for coming. Please, can we appreciate Bale? He's been doing a lot for the society and the community at large. Is a very, very active and excellent traditional leader. All right, I'd like to recognize and appreciate for coming today to this program, the stakeholders meeting. We have here Dr. Okay, let me leave that and go to Bale. Okay, I have, please, can Emmanuel please come closer? Manuel, please come closer. Okay, let me do other recognitions. I'd like to recognize the matron from Oroyo PHC. That's matron Aremu Jemilat. You're welcome. It's nice having you. All right, we'd also like to recognize the matron from Agbongbo PHC, matron Oluni Rachel. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. We also appreciate the matron from Olori Shalko PHC, matron Aaron Victoria. Matron Aaron Victoria. We appreciate you, ma'am. All right, we have Dr. Olugbemide Abimbola, Deputy Director, Research and Emergency Services, representing the Director of Health Planning, Research and Statistics. We appreciate you for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma. We also like to recognize, all right, Bale of Sukatat, Bale Alaka Ojo in Akinyele local government. Kara Olubabao. We appreciate you for coming. All right, we also like to recognize and appreciate Mrs. Oluyemisi Abisola, Desk Officer, Oluyemisi Abiola, Desk Officer, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. You're welcome, my sister. All right, thank you very much. Those are the recognitions that we're taking so far. All right, we'll go straight to the documentary, and the documentary will just be taking a few minutes to see the journey so far. Please, can we appreciate the efforts that has been put into this? Can we celebrate the great minds that have remembered to do this for our great country and for your state as a whole?
Been engaged in doing research in partnership with colleagues at the University of Ibadan. I started looking at the issue of household air pollution, by accident, because I was in Ewuwa, Iguala, and Abanla, trying to understand why asthma, which is a disease that affects young children, was reaching epidemic proportions. In the process of doing this, we realized that 70% of the homes where we were going indoors to collect dust samples were cooking indoors with firewood. So the question was that, was it really allergy that was driving asthma, or was it this exposure to a polluted indoor environment?
The project set out to look at household air pollution amongst our women, especially in this case, those who are pregnant, because we already know that pollution, biomass pollution, does affect the life and the health of women and the pregnancy they have. The women who participated in this study were pregnant women in any part of their pregnancy.
Àkókò ni ìyá ẹ wá lọ hospital nígbà tí ó lóná wá sọ̀rọ̀ ètò ìlera fún mi pé èmi náà tẹ̀ bá ti rẹ́ Easter síbì kan kí n wá lọ síbẹ̀ kí n lọ rẹ́ Easter síbẹ̀ mo sì wá lọ. Nígbà tí mo wá lọ wọ́n wá tẹ̀lé mi délé wọ́n wá rí gbogbo bí mo ti ń dáná wọ́n ní iná kí ni mo ń dá wọ́n ní iná èédú ni mo ń dá wọ́n ṣàwò gbogbo bí mo ń dáná wọ́n bá dọ́jọ́ ń fi wá ní olóṣòkò ẹ̀yìn ìgbà yẹn wọ́n gbé sóògùn fún wa.
Women themselves prefer and really elect to use the ethanol because of less smoke, is clean fire that it gives to them to cook, is faster, is more rapid, is cleaner. It is also safer in their opinion.
Nígbà tí mo wà nínú oyún tí mo máa ń sèkè, so ni wọ́n gbé stove yẹn fún mi pé kí àwọn wàhálà tí mo máa ń kó lè dínkù. Mo láìkì stove gan-an ni. Torí àtìgbà tí mo ti ń lo stóòfù kò sí pé bóyá pé ó rẹ̀ mí ní dáná oúnjẹ
kò rí àǹfààní kan tí mo rí látara ethanol stove tí mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lò yìí kì í ṣe àǹfààní kan rárá. àǹfààní tí mo rí bẹ́ẹ̀ pọ̀ lọ tó yẹ pé tí mo bá ní kí n máa ròyìn ẹ̀ látàárọ̀ títí dalẹ́ mi ò lè ròyìn ẹ̀ tán. lára wọn ni wípé tí mo bá ń dáná lọ pápákọ̀ ní oúnjẹ mi máa ń jiná. ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ẹ̀ ni pé kò sí pé mò ń ra gbòòwò ni mò ń ra sẹ́ni kò sí yẹn ní ọ̀rọ̀ mi.
àǹfààní tó wà nínú ẹ̀ ni pé ó dáa ju kerosene stove lọ, ṣàkó náà ó dáa jù lọ.
so pápákọ̀ ni náà mi máa ń oúnjẹ mi máa ń délẹ̀ kò sí pé èéfín tàbí à ń ṣe nínú mi mo rú kọ́lẹ̀ láyé gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe máa ń experience nígbà tí mo ń dáná stove tàbí náà igi kò sí yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀.
Basically, we surveyed the pre-pilot study in Ibadan through the provision of 50,000 litres of ethanol. And this pre-pilot study will also feed into the pilot study that Project Guy will be handling. We are happy to support Project Guy in the introduction of clean cook stove in Nigeria through provision of cost-effective alternative source of clean cooking in the country.
Shala Olopade, Professor of Medicine at the University of Chicago. I also serve as the Dean for Academic Advancement in the Biological Science Division at the Prescott School of Medicine at the University of Chicago. And I have for the last 20 years conducted research in Nigeria in collaboration with some of my former teachers and colleagues.
My name is Oladosho Jengede. I'm emeritus professor at the University of Ibadan, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and of course practicing in UCH, University College Hospital Ibadan, and in the community. Okay, for the HAPCOG study, I'm the in-country PI and project coordinator or manager because when HAPCOG started at HAP, I started with it from that time.
The HAPCOG study is actually a segment of the project that came almost a decade after I started thinking about the issue of dangers of exposure to air pollution.
For people who use biomass, heavy biomass like smoke, like from firewood, from charcoal, from kerosene, and so on and so forth.
And then the intervention group was the ethanol group.
so stove yẹn o kì í ṣe òfin ó máa ń jẹ́ kó oúnjẹ yá so kò kì í rí àwọn àdójúkọ kan tó yẹ pé wọ́n máa ń dojúkọ lórí bí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lo stove yẹn kò sí nǹkan tó yẹ pé wọ́n dojúkọ nígbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lò nǹkan tó lè pa ọmọ inú mi lára nígbà yẹn àti tó lè pa ìwé náà lára ní stove yẹn ò jẹ́ kí ó jẹ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí mi náà nígbà tí mo ti lo stove yẹn.
And if that was so, if it was affecting their health, it will affect the health of the babies inside them if they were pregnant.
And then we monitored them throughout pregnancy. We checked their blood pressure, we did ultrasound to check the growth of the children, we checked their blood pressure, we checked some of the symptoms that they were having of being exposed to polluted environment in their households.
bá a ṣe ń ní gbogbo àwọn mọ́nítọ̀ tó ń gbé wá wọ́n máa wo àwọn atẹ́kùn tá à ń mí sínú tá à ń mí síta gbogbo ẹ̀ ló máa yẹ wò nǹkan tó bá yẹ kán ṣe fún wa ní tàmí wọ́n máa ṣe fún wa wọ́n máa ya scan every month wọ́n mọ́nítọ̀ wa títí tá a fi bímọ.
And at the end of that study, the women who were in the intervention group, they were able to carry their pregnancy to term.
ọmọ tí mo bí pẹ̀lú stóòfù àwọn NGO yẹn ó yára dàgbàsókè ọmọ yẹn dẹ̀ sharp ju ọmọ tìgbà yẹn lọ torí ọmọ tìgbà yẹn ó quiet bẹ̀tẹ̀lẹ̀ ó sharp dáadáa.
What has happened is that women who choose to use ethanol, which is the alternative to heavy biomass, which ethanol provided clean blue flame that was very effective, no smoke, green. It cooked faster, more convenient, you know, and no reactions, no inconveniences. People are not coughing, people are not having headaches, they are not having asthma. So that was very good, and it encouraged the women who participated to continue to cook with clean source of energy, the ethanol, even up to this moment.
Mo gbà ní 2013-27 November 27 ni mo gbà, so a ti máa lọ 12 months now.
There are women who started with us in about 2013, that's about 12 years ago, who have been steadfast. They have insisted that they will continue to cook, and they will encourage their colleagues, their mates, their friends to transit from firewood and what they've always done to ethanol, clean source of energy.
Ìmọ̀ràn tó mi máa fún àwọn tó ń lo àwọn nǹkan míì láti fi dáná ni tí àǹfààní bá wà fún wọn láti rí àwọn nǹkan táwa náà ń lò tá a fi ń dáná yẹn, ó máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ nínú ètò ìlera wọn.
Notwithstanding the difference in cost, and the cost actually did not matter so much as to the health.
Wọ́n máa fún wa ní ọ̀tá náà tí a máa fi ń fìl sínú stóòvù yìí. So bàtà wá bímọ, so à ń rà ní owó kéréje la máa ń rà bàtà bímọ. Ọ̀fẹ́ náà fún wa tẹ́lẹ̀ bàtà wà ní ìwé. So stóòvù yẹn mo ń lò láti gbà yẹn títí tí mo fi bímọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ó wà manageable láti reduce àwọn owó tá a fi ń fìlì gas tàbí láti fi ra kerosene. Ní ọdún tá a wà yìí nìsín, stroke ń mú mi. Ọlọ́run ló dá mi padà, dáná mi ọwọ́ síbi báyìí. Ọwọ́ yìí kò ṣeé gbé. Wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń gbé báyìí nìsín pẹ̀lú àdúrà pé wọ́n fi rọ́ mi padà. Epo ń ná wa lówó. Epo ń ná wa lówó gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwa tá a wà lóko ẹ̀ ǹpẹ́ ibi tá a bá wọ̀ làwa ń gé igi, àrà igi lóko tá a wà yìí. Nìkan ò ní mọ́ náà ló lè ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n sọ pé ó dáa ju igi lọ, apá wa ní ọ̀ka.
Okay, so the project provided, when we started, the project, the grant provided for participants to have the stove.
And for proper context, ethanol is the fuel that rich people cook with when they're on their boats. So this was a $60 stove, which I found a way to get full support from, what's the name of this, a colleague that was based in the US, Project Gaia. Got all the stoves that I needed, and then got funding from the United Nations Foundation. And Shell also, as bad as people think about Shell, gave me about 50,000 liters of ethanol.
Well, the opportunities, maybe I should start with the opportunities first. That one is that the workers are so dedicated. Those who are working on this project, they themselves are convinced, they are motivated, they are inspired, and they are committed to running the project according to protocol and taking enough data that can prove the benefits of clean source of energy. Two, the participants themselves, the households, the communities where we're working, they have seen from those who started with HAP, they've learned from them the benefits, and they are ready, that has inspired them to be sincere with our findings, with the measurements, with all the data, with all the specimens we take, and the analysis that we do, and the analysis that shows that indeed they are benefiting and the victims are benefiting. Now the study has proven some research findings.
So what we did, even before the end of this HAPCOG study, was got another funding from the U.S. National Institute of Health, which which is an implementation science study. And the question that we are asking with our project is, what will it take for regular people who have not participated in the original HAP study in Ibadan in a different setting like Lagos? What will it take for them to transition from cooking with firewood or kerosene into clean cooking fuel, either with ethanol or even with LPG? So we already have a project that's ongoing in Lagos in partnership with Professor Wright at the Lagos State University College of Medicine, Massachusetts. And this is in collaboration with the Lagos State government. We're working in about 42 local government areas in Lagos, where we've been doing a lot of effort to let people make a decision on transitioning to clean cooking by just exposing them to either the ethanol or the LPG stove and allowing them to make the economic decision of which one might be better for them. And the other secondary goal of that ongoing implementation science project in Lagos is to see whether what we found in pregnant women with reduction of blood pressure, which is a major cause of stroke and morbidity and deaths in Nigeria, whether that intervention would also lead to a decrease in blood pressure in other adults in the household. So that's an example of what I'm hoping this project that we've done in Ibadan would gel the leadership in Oyo State to also create policies to, one, eliminate kerosene, which, if you remember, historically is a fuel that felt to be clean and subsidized.
So that women, whether in rural area, whether in urban area, whether low income, whether upper income, cooking is cooking. Exposure to pollution is the same, whether you are rich or you are poor or you are intermediate. But all of the equity must come into this, because the woman has to do the cooking, should not endanger her life.
Our investigations locally show that kerosene is actually really a terrible fuel, and it was the major driver of the hypertensive changes that we saw in pregnant women. So the best outcome for me, as a way to give back for the privilege of going to a medical school for free, is to be able to share the results of our studies, to wake up everybody to the dangers of cooking with unclean fuel, to let people be aware about the health implications of being exposed to indoor pollution, and clearly also outdoor pollution, because all of the cars that pollute, all of the generators, all of those, they have the same effect of causing adverse health outcomes, both from cardiovascular, respiratory, and we've already documented that from maternal and child health perspective, it's a big problem. So we're hoping that the leaders would understand the science. This is not science or research that's been done outside the country. This is study that's been done in Irua, Abanla, Oluwisha, Oronya. So this is, I'm hoping would, get people to be motivated to do the right thing to protect our women, our children, and the entire population, and hopefully at the same time improve environmental health and the quality of the air that we breathe. So there's a lot we can do, but there has to be a determined effort to make access to these stoves available, access to the clean fuel, ethanol, LPG, all of those available at reasonable prices, for people to be able to procure them, because health is wealth. And if our children who are exposed to pollutants during pregnancy aren't going to be smart as they grow older, what better incentive is there to do the right thing? So I'm just very optimistic and pleased that in a small way we've actually come back to do some work here, you know, to earn the free education that we got many years ago. That's put us in a very comfortable position in the U.S.
Plus for that great documentary. I must say that there's no doubt that it was good to domesticate the research. It was good to look at it from our own environment and to come up with some of these outcomes also gives us a mind to have a rethink and come up with policies that will eradicate air pollution in our communities. Please, can we give this team a round of applause again? All right, we'll take more introductions right away from the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, or your state. We have Chief Social Welfare Officer, Mrs. Igain Iberonke. Thank you for coming. Thank you. All right, also Dr. Yetunde Adeniyi. We have a senior lecturer, Department of Psychiatric, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Please, can we give a round of applause? Thank you for coming. We have Professor Adi Fatai Adeniyi, Professor of Physiotherapy, Director, General Studies, Program, University of Ibadan. To the high table, sir, thank you for coming. This part of the hall, thank you very much. All right, we have also, we are recognizing Professor Priska O. Adejumo, Dean, Faculty of Nursing, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Okay, thank you for coming. We also have with us here Mr. Abayemi Odetunde Imrat. We appreciate you for coming, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We have Dr. Mojisola Oluwashanu, HOD, Department of Health Promotion and Education. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, Dr. S.A. Ojelabi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment. We also have Mrs. B.O. Arel, Director, Environmental Health. All right, I also saw him in around there, Mr. Oje. Mr. Oje Diro, yes, I'm sure, Director, Child, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. Recognize you, sir. All right, we'll go straight to the next thing on the program this afternoon. Oh, we're still in the morning. It looks like the afternoon. I think I'm in a hurry. All right, we'll go to the next on the program. And on the program is the impact of exposure to household air pollution during pregnancy on birth outcomes. And to do that is our own Professor of Medicine, Associate Dean of Academic Advancement, Professor Shola Olakpade.
Yeah, I'm back again, but now we're going to try and go to the meat of the matter. I told you that we were able to improve the indoor air quality, but the challenge was the exposure was still very high. And I'm very aware of how our people think. We care about our pregnant women. We also care about our children. So the next thing we decided we were going to do was look at the impact of exposure to air pollution from cooking with both firewood and kerosene on pregnancy outcome. So what we did was we grabbed, we enrolled about 324 women who were cooking with either kerosene or firewood, and we randomized them into two groups. We provided ethanol throughout the pregnancy for one group, because ethanol is what rich people cook with on their boats. So we were able to procure these stoves that cost about $60, to give to one half of our participants, and the other people continue to cook with gestational age in all women. And we saw them 6 times during the pregnancy, constantly doing ultrasound so that we can look at intrauterine growth. We measured blood pressure throughout the pregnancy, and we made sure to exclude women who were exposed to cooking as a profession. So if you cooked if you've had previous bad pregnancy outcomes in the past, if you had HIV infection, just from the scientific perspective, to try and have to eliminate other confounding variables. And we also did blood tests to look at nutritional biomarkers to make sure that people didn't have malaria, didn't have sickle cell disease, so that we could focus on the impact of air pollution on all these outcomes. So that was pretty much what we did, and I know we've don't have time. Of course, this is where we did the study, the city with the red roof. And this is the clean cook stove. This is stainless steel. This is a stainless steel stove that we gave to all of our participants who were randomized into the intervention group. And of course, this is the traditional stove, and this is the kerosene stove. An innovation that we did during the study was we put a temperature probe on all of these stoves. Because if they gave these intervention stoves to the women, and if they were not using it, then we really don't have any story to tell. But these temperature probes, allowed us to know which stove they were using. We didn't need to hear from them to say, oh, yeah, I'm using it, low. We had evidence to show what they were using. And what we did, and this is in picture, it might be too small, this is just this is the firewood group, this is the kerosene group, and this is the ethanol group. It just showed all of the things that we did. We also did personal exposure monitoring in the women, because people just don't stay inside the home when they're pregnant. So we had personal exposure. They were walking around, and it turned out that only 70% of the exposure was indoors. So the thought of the exposure is outdoors, all of the exposure to generators and all of that. But it allowed us to really quantify the source of pollutants during pregnancy. And then in terms of birth outcomes, we looked at birth weight, we looked at head circumference, and all of the things that you would look for. And then we collected the placenta samples and looked at them histologically, and then we also looked at biomarkers of hypoxia, because we had a feeling that the exposure and the way the exposure drives a prothrombotic state in the body, that there will be thrombosis in the placenta. So we really wanted to know the differences between the two groups. And to make it easy for people when they are talking about thrombosis, we just wanted to know the impact of the exposure on the placenta, because the placenta is the source of nutrition for the developing baby. And if people who were getting exposed to pollutants because they were cooking with firewood or kerosene had more adverse events, we want to be able to explain that. So this is what the group looked like. Small group, but very, very effective. And this data, for those who understand science, is just to show that the grouping were similar, I mean, in terms of gestational age, symptoms, age, previous, just to be sure that we were comparing apples to apples. And we were also quite interested in what I told you with the temperature probe. We wanted to show that the intervention group actually adopted the stove that they were randomized to. So based on that temperature probe, you can see in the first 6 weeks, this is the intervention group. You know, they were using kerosene before. Because we gave them ethanol, everybody was using ethanol, and the kerosene group stayed on it. So we knew that what everybody was cooking with. And the exposures usually change over seasons, okay? During the dry season, the exposures are much higher. During the rainy season, they are much lower. So this is just a capture of what the exposure was like in the kerosene and fire group, in the intervention group, during the dry season, and during the wet season. So in terms of the relationship to the birth outcomes, the women who were in the intervention group were actually able to carry their pregnancy closer to term than those that were using kerosene or firewood. They also had bigger babies. They're about 88 grams bigger. It wasn't significant, but it's still there. And if you look at being able to carry the pregnancy to term, you can see the difference there. If you look at preterm deliveries, a lot more women in the firewood had more preterm deliveries, and the miscarriage rate was almost double in the people who were using kerosene and firewood. And the other thing that was actually very interesting to us is there was a reduction in hypertension, in blood pressure, in the people who were on ethanol. We didn't do anything. These were not hypertensive. And what you see here is what you expect physiologically.
There are many battles really while going on in those games relative to other internet. I'm beginning to look at only the we saw it when you look at the biotechnology hypoxia, inducing factor. The levels were much higher in the kerosene and firewood. The body was really trying to take sure that the people, the children didn't go off in this hypoxic state. And to put it in context for everyone, athletes go to out strength because that altitude is like low oxygen. And the way the body compensates for it is you produce hypoxia inducing factors so that you more red blood cells and carry more. So the body was actually doing what it was supposed to do to make sure that those babies didn't grow the setting of hypoxia. People who succeeded carried the baby to term. For those who didn't, died. But then there are long-term consequences of going on with the hypoxia. This is just a physiology and biology. So firewood and kerosene group had worse pregnancy outcome, administered than kids. They had more frequent deliveries, miscarriages and stillbirths. They had smaller babies. They developed more gestational hypertension. They had evidence of systemic inflammation and non-wasting. They have what we call dysregulated androgenesis. During pregnancy, the placenta develops incredible vascularization to provide nutrition to the baby. And very close to the membrane, there's a reduction in androgenesis. So people have babies without living out this. What we found in all of it, that turnout didn't always happen. And when you put it in the context of post-factum memory, where we are in the civil, it always crossed my mind whether exposure to current pregnancy and inability to really thought about some androgenesis was a major factor. Part of what we found during the discussion that the effort of the body to keep the state and of pregnancies like contributes to both candidates. And we have a
of hypoxia-inducing factor, meaning that these babies were growing up in a hypoxic setting. Very, very sobering observation. But what we did at the end of the study was both the intervention and the control group, we gave everybody this $60 stove. And I'm sure and happy that we were able to do that, because having gone through this kind of study, people need to benefit from it. And at the end of the study, a lot of the women were adopting these stoves. Thanks to the University of Ibadan. I actually have an ethanol depot. I still have it at the University of Chicago, even though we finished this study about 15 years ago. I still have ethanol I buy there and subsidize, so all these women can have access to this ethanol. I'm happy some of them are in the room today to, to take advantage of that. Very, very helpful. Trying to get people to undergo behavior change is very, very difficult. We were really interested in the science. When we captured or tried to find out from the women who chose to adopt the ethanol, why do they want to keep using and buying ethanol? These are the reasons that they gave. Number one, they didn't have any of those exposure-related complaints. You remember the original stuff that we did in Abanla with headache, runny nose, burning eyes. All of those didn't happen with the ethanol. The pots and pans were not getting black because the ethanol burns blue. It seems irrelevant, but this is very important to all of these women. Pots and pans were clean. They didn't smell of alcohol, of smoke after cooking, and it made them feel as if they were actually in a higher socioeconomic class. You are cooking with a stainless steel stove. You have to actually go and lock it up in daddy's room so that people won't steal the stoves. Really. And the stove quality, this is a stove that lasts 8 to 10 years, so you didn't have to be changing your kerosene stove every year. And no more risk of burning, because even when you put the ethanol in the canister, you turn it over, it doesn't split. So I'm just sharing some of this so that, you know, we can look at, you know, qualitative and quantitative measures and what we can really take advantage in encouraging a lot of people. And that's the underpinning for some of the work that we're actually doing in Lagos with the Lagos State government to figure out what will it take to get people to adopt clean cooking. And then, you know, as this journey has evolved, then the question after this is this. We've done another study. We've demonstrated that the intervention is actually useful to both women and to the children. But then we realized that our children were growing up in a low oxygen state. And then the next question is, what is the impact of growing up in this low oxygen state during pregnancy? What would that do to the long-term development of these children? Will they be smart? Will they compromise their thinking and cognition? And that's exactly what we did next. We got some money, and one of my colleagues is probably going to need to come up and tell you what we found, because these children are now about 10 years old. So this is the result from our 2015. We've tracked these children over the last 10 years, you know, so I'm going to try and stop here, and you know, I'm going to just acknowledge, and you don't do this kind of studies alone. We have a team of incredible graduates from our School of Public Health. You can see all of them here. Committed young people who I'm happy have learned from, you know, the work that we've been doing. And you've seen a lot of them in their CAP and HAPCOG. These are the people who have done the Herculean work, in addition to Dr. Adeniyi, Professor Falade, Professor Ojengbede, Professor Arinola, Professor Taiwo is here. So this is a team effort. I'm just the person who happens to have triggered some of this effort. And we wouldn't be able to do this without funding from the NIH, even though they don't want to give us any money. But I'm happy that we've used their millions of dollars to actually do meaningful work that I hope and think is beneficial to our people here locally. I'm here and hope that we can get Dr. Adeniyi to come up and tell the last part of the story, what we've been doing in the last 5 years.
Thank you very much, Professor. All right, so we'll go to the next on the program. You know, like I keep saying, the more Professor comes on, I get more scared, you know, because there are a lot to be done, and we all have to come together. It's a collective effort. It can't be done alone. If you think you are in town and nobody needs, you know, this information, your grandmother is in the village, your aunt is in the village, your uncle is there, and the unborn generation from your lineage, they are there too. So we need to impact them somehow. All right, permit me to bring to the high table and recognize the representative of the Executive Secretary of the Oyo State Primary Healthcare Board, Dr. Olatunji Muideen, who is ably represented by Dr. Oshoko Johnson Oluyemi, Director, Disease Control and Immunization, Oyo State Primary Healthcare Board. Please, to the high table. Thank you very much. Please, can we appreciate Dr. Oshoko? Dr. Oshoko, thank you very much. All right, I've also been instructed to move to the high table. The Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Environment, please to the high table, sir. Thank you very much. To the high table, sir. You're expected on the high table. PS, Ministry of Environment. All right, and then what we have next is impact of in utero and postnatal exposure to air pollution. Prof has said a lot about it, so let me just bring forward a senior lecturer, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, Dr. Yetunde Adeni, MBBS. Please can we appreciate her as she comes forward?
Thank you very much. Good morning, our distinguished guests. Please, you will permit me to stand on the existing protocol. But I want to especially acknowledge the medical students that are here. Great Nigerian students, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. I invited them on a very short and then they turned up. Thank you. So, I'm highly honored to be making this presentation this morning, and I would just want to continue where Prof stopped, because that's actually the sequence of the study that we did. So I will be talking more about what we did with the children. You remember that the pregnant women were recruited long ago, and then the children that they gave birth to were followed up over time, right from pregnancy till they were delivered. Their weight, height, and all of that were being monitored all through the years. So when these children turn 7, my initial slide I will have to skip because they will be like repetitions of what Prof had said. But then, like I said, I'll take it up from there. So when the children turn 7, around that, a few months to 7 or a few months after 7, we recruited them again into this current phase of the study to check how they are doing in terms of their cognitive functions and their adaptive skills. So cognitive functions, to put in a very simple way, is when we want to look at the smartness. One of the women that spoke during the documentary mentioned that one of the children was very sharp. So we want to look at the sharpness of these children, we compare between these two groups. So that's what we did. So we did quite a number of things to ensure that. So this graph came up, or these maps came up when Prof was speaking about comparing the distribution of the use of unclean cooking fuel in Nigeria and how it relates to adverse birth outcomes. So, what makes this study very interesting is the fact that, in this part of the world, we don't have like a lot of longitudinal studies. We have cross-sectional studies. We go to a group of people and then we ask questions, and that would just be about it. But this is very unique because these cohorts have been followed up over the years. So it makes the data that we found very rich, and it helps us to be able to tell a story about what we're interested in within this cohort. So there's the availability of the unique cohort of children born to these pregnant women was what makes this very unique. We didn't just go to take children randomly. We were following up over time, and then we wanted to see how what we are interested in has impacted on the children. So from August of 2021 till date, or till recently, I'm sure there have been additional recruitment. We assessed 208 children of these mothers, and they were around the age of 7, like I said. For this particular phase, we got certificate approval from the University of Ibadan and the University of Chicago, the two institutions that were majorly involved. And what we did mostly is to also monitor the level of the particulate matter in the children, apart from in their household and in their mothers. We measured those in the children. So we made them to wear a particular device that will read the level of the particulate matter over time. So that was done for the children. So they wear this all through the day, except when they are sleeping or when they want to have their bath. And there's also a way to know whether they're actually wearing that particular device. Not just that we give them and then we go and sleep. There are ways to know that they actually were wearing those things. So we measure, we assess them at 2 points in terms of the monitoring of the particulate matter. At the first month that we recruit them, and then 7.5 months after the first time. We also took blood sample for different assessments. So we're checking for heavy metals. We brought them from the community to UCH, and then we employed professionals who will help us to take sample of both the mother and the baby, so we could look at these heavy metals and compare them to the level of the particulate matter. We also did developmental assessment. So we were looking at how well are they developing. So there are standardized instruments that we could use. So we picked one of them, which is the Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children. So in this, we are able to tell how they are able to, their problem-solving ability, the ability to be able to read and write, ability to be able to abstract. They are all included in this particular battery of tests. We also assess their adaptive behavior, which include things like their day-to-day ability to take care of themselves. Are they able to have their bath by themselves? Can they brush their teeth? Are they able to wear their shoes, lace their, all those things were measured by this particular instrument. And we did both for the children of mothers who are using clean fuel and those who are using firewood fuel. We also visited their homes specifically to look at the environment. How is their home arranged? What kind of resources do they have for play for their children? Do they have books? Do they have, where is their toilet located? All those things that we did in respect of the children and their growth. Of course, this is our favorite slide. We show it like all the time in our presentation. It's like a summary of what we did. And I'm not going to stay too long on it because Prof, like I said, already mentioned what it is. But the last part is where we're actually interested in. That's why we have the children, we have the babies. So those are some of the things that we did, including the assessment for their growth, for their development. So when they come to see us, we measure their head circumference, we take their weight, we take their height, we ask questions about what they are doing, and then we then administer those standard tests that I said that is going to test their IQ and also test their adaptive functions and their behaviors. So one of the things that we're looking out for is the score on this particular test that is called the Vineland Adaptive Behavioral Skills. And it's looking at communication, how well are their speech and language developed, and their daily living skills, like I mentioned, bathing, eating, and all that, socialization, are they able to play with their peers, and all that, and their motor skills. We also look at the performance on the Kaufman test, like I said, measuring their IQ generally, their knowledge, their learning ability, their planning ability. And so this we did with every child at different times. So their mothers will bring them for us to test, because there was a consideration of whether we should go to their homes or bring them, but we realized that some homes are actually not very conducive. There are a lot of interruptions and interaction that can affect the outcome of the test. So we brought them into the hospital for tests. So what did we find, apart from what has been said? So like I said, there were 208 of them, 112 male and 96 females were assessed. The average age, or the mean age, was 7.4 years, and 135 children were from household using clean cook stoves, and 72 children from household using polluting cook stoves. So we found that in terms of the exposure to PM 2.5, that there's peak indoor level, very high or higher PM 2.5 level among children who are in the household with polluting stoves. That's what we found in terms of You remember I said that they were carrying out around a device that were measuring the level of the PM 2.5. On the other assessment that we did, the testing for the IQ, for the adaptive functioning, after we've adjusted for some other things, you know, there are some other factors that could have contributed to what we found, like the IQ level and all that. Things like the family assets, the age of the child, the level of education of the mother. After we've adjusted for that, we also still found out that children who from the household where they use polluted fuel score very low when you compare to children from household who use clean fuel. So we found that every two-fold increase in higher level of PM 2.5 is what we found is that there is about 4 units reduction in the score on the IQ test. So again, the higher the level of PM 2.5, the lower their IQ score. And also the lower in terms of, it's about 2 units in terms of the VAB score, which is the adaptive skills. So what that says is that children who are from the household that use clean fuel, they're able to perform more tasks, they're able to take care of themselves better than those from the households with polluted cook stove. So children in household using clean fuel scored higher on both assessments. I've mentioned some of these, that this is some of the strength of the study because the longitudinal, we used quite a lot of battery of neurodevelopmental assessments that have been standardized and adapted for the Nigeria context. We actually translated the questionnaires, all the questionnaires to the Yoruba language for those who are not able to understand it in English. So apart from the data that we collected and the analysis and all that, we also had some immediate benefits that came to the family who participated in the study outside the data. So we attended to quite a number of the children who have urgent needs, like if, for instance, if they have infections, malaria, fever, or they have malnutrition. Actually, some of them were admitted and were fully funded by the projects. And apart from those immediate intervention that we gave, we also made some referrals. For instance, if we identify that a child has developmental delay, we don't just say, okay, we have collected our data, you can go home or you can, that's it. We refer them, we follow them up and see how they can access early intervention, which is one of the very important factors that will determine the outcome in children with neurodevelopmental disorder. We also gave the family a lot of emotional support. Knowing that they are not alone is very important, especially for those who have children who have one problem or the other. They know that there is this team in use. So several times I received phone calls from participants who say, oh, what can you do for me? My child is having this and that. And then we help them to navigate care in a way that is not bothersome to them. And we all know that it's very difficult to access UCH. You know, you're just coming from Abanla or from, you know, anywhere that you want to come into UCH. It's a lot of burden on the family. So that we're able to help them to do. So they come through us and then we refer them to the appropriate clinic. So those are some of the immediate benefits, some of the things that the participants or the families benefited from the team. So because the work that we did is so incredible, we've gone to make presentation in international conferences, and we won awards. You know, in 2023, we went to Kaesong in Taiwan, and our abstract won the best in low and middle income country in terms of award from low and middle abstract time, and it was quite very enlightening where we put our works from other parts of the world out very clearly that we have done a fantastic job. We've also seen some of the pictures from the conference. You know, started publishing. So that's the beauty of research when we put it out there for other people to see. So a few weeks back, we one of the papers was accepted for publication in a very renowned journal. And we have several other ones at different levels, you know, of publication. As so the conclusion, we found out that household air pollution exposure early in life may be associated with reduction in child neurocognitive development in terms of their IQ scores, in terms of their day-to-day adaptive functioning, being able to take care of themselves, being able to interact properly. These are all the things that could be affected when children are exposed to polluted cooking gas. And thank you very much for your time and for your attention.
Please, can we appreciate her? Thank you, and of course, for the well-done job. All right, what we'll be doing next is that we'll have to all travel to Lagos. We're all traveling to Lagos, and of course, in Lagos, we'll be getting a transition to clean cooking, a vital lifeline for health, and that's the Lagos experience. Are you ready? Are we all ready to travel to Lagos? I'm not sure. Are we ready? Okay, so let's go to Lagos to see the experience. That's the Center for Excellence. And of course, to do that, we have Professor Lolade Wright, Lagos State University College of Medicine. And she will be joining us via Zoom. So let's pay attention. Please, can we get all the lights off if possible, so that we can see her and get the vision clear.
I am Lolade Wright, a professor of public health and community medicine, and I bring you greetings from two flagship tertiary healthcare institutions that I represent. Speaking about the Lagos State University College of Medicine, LASUCOM, and the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUF. I want to thank the organizers of the HAPCOG stakeholders meeting taking place in Ibadan for the invitation to share a brief insight on our project in Lagos. And so my talk is titled Transition to Clean Cooking, a Vital Lifeline for Health, the Lagos Experience. And so in this short presentation, I will provide some global context around cooking poverty and household air pollution. I would speak about the impacts of using traditional cooking methods. And then I would describe very briefly our CFCS implementation project. CFCS means Clean Fuel, Clean Stove. And then I would talk about some climate-related data collecting as well. Now, our CFCS project is related directly or indirectly to 2 of the 17 SDGs. Our CFCS project is related to Goals 7 and Goal 13. And we know Goal 7 is geared towards ensuring access to affordable, reliable, modern energy for everyone in all societies. Goal 13, on the other hand, is aimed at ensuring actions are taken, to combat climate change and its impact. Now, if you look at indicator 7, indicator 7.1.2, this specifically measures the proportion of persons or people in any society or community who rely solely on clean fuels and clean technology. Another related indicator for Goal 7 is the number of deaths that are attributable to household air pollution. And so you may want to ask, what is cooking poverty? Cooking poverty is a terminology that describes households that rely on polluting biomass, meaning that in these households they cook with firewood, they cook with charcoal, they cook with kerosene, and in some instances even with dung as well. We also know that all of these traditional methods, result in a lot of indoor household air pollution, which is often injurious to respiratory health as well as cardiovascular health as well. Studies have shown that about 90 million households in Nigeria use solid pollutant fuels for cooking. And so we can imagine, the amount of risks and harm that come with the use of these traditional methods. Unfortunately, women and children are more at risk of the injurious effects of household air pollution, largely due to these traditional cooking methods. Studies again have also shown that HAP doubles the risk of childhood lower respiratory infections, which obviously sometimes could actually result in pneumonia-related deaths as well. So what would happen if nothing is done? It's been said that in economic terms, about 1.9 billion people will remain in cooking poverty, costing trillions of dollars, and harmful health impacts if not much is done to tackle household air. And so our CFCS project is geared towards improving access to ethanol stoves and LPG, which we have made available and which we're promoting through community mobilization in several communities of Lagos. And so in using a community mobilization strategy, we have engaged the local government health team consisting of health education officers, community health officers, environmental health officers, community health extension workers, and mobilizers to promote transition from these unclean cooking methods I mentioned before to the use of the ethanol stoves that we have given to these households for free, and the LPGs as well. We have an intervention arm and we have a control arm. The community mobilization strategy, targets or is focused more on the intervention arm as against the control arm. Now, the CFCS is a community randomized trial with a staggered entry approach. And Lagos has been divided into 4 cohorts, basically. For each cohort, we have 8 communities, making a total of 32 communities across all 4 cohorts. And we've targeted 20 households within each of the community. We've enrolled at least 2 individuals, 2 adults per household, the primary cook and another adult, making a total of 640 households as well. In terms of usage or adoption and the use of the clean cooking devices that we have provided, we've placed stove usage monitors, SUMs, to help us truly ascertain whether these households are actually using the clean devices we've provided, or whether they use more of the traditional devices more of the time. We've also placed purple air monitors and ultrasonic personal air samplers, referred to as UPAS. We've placed this to measure the personal exposure, especially of the cook, the primary cook, to particulate matter and air pollution as well. So the study is still ongoing, and we place the purple air units or the UPAS in the cooking area where they place the clean cooking device we've provided and their traditional cooking devices as well. So these would help us measure PM, particulate matter 2.5, and black carbon as well. This is an ethanol stove, and the SUMS, stove usage monitor, are fixed on the ethanol stove. We also created a digital map showing the communities, the 32 communities spread across Lagos. We're in 11 of the 20 local government areas of Lagos State. So in terms of study outcome, the primary outcome for the CFCS, as I said, is the adoption of CFCS use at 12 months and at 24 months for sustainability, And we define adoption as the utilization of those clean devices, meaning LPG or ethanol stoves, for more than 50% of their cooking activities in the households. Again, using the UPass, we're estimating household concentrations of black carbon, and we've done a bit of training for the environmental health officers and members of the local government health team to help us collect good quality data as well. And so in carrying out the project, we had to interact periodically with various stakeholders across the 5 divisions of Lagos, where we demonstrated the use of either the ethanol stoves or LPG, and we interacted with various community voices ranging from religious leaders, youth representatives, market women leaders, and so on and so forth across, as I said, the 5 Ibile divisions of Lagos. Data collection is still ongoing. We look forward to the outputs following analysis, but we have 2 publications at the moment, our protocol paper and another manuscript which was accepted recently by BMJ Open on stakeholders' perspective as well. Just to acknowledge the principal investigators, Professor Gbenga Ogedegbe of NYU and Professor Shola Olopade of the University of Chicago as well, and my humble self as the in-country implementer as well. I'd also like to acknowledge other co-investigators from NYU and the NCDC. The Director General of NCDC, Dr. Jide Idris, is a member of the team, and other research team members from NYU and Berkeley. These are a few references. Thank you for your attention.
We sincerely appreciate Professor Lolade Wright from the Lagos State College of Medicine. Thank you for joining us. All right, can we give her a round of applause again? Lagos is doing well, but trust me, we're setting the pace here in your state. I'd like to also recognize, of course, persons that are here this afternoon. I'd like to begin with Chief Priest Ojekunle Ifasheson, Africa Ifa, okay, Indigenous Faith of Africa Ifa. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. All right, Mrs. Balkis Olawoyi, Oyo State Primary Healthcare Board. Thank you for coming. So, thank you very much. All right, we have here Mrs. Olufumilola Akinpelu. She's the DD, Department of Women Program, Ministry of Women and Social Inclusion. Thank you for coming. Also, Dr. Adeagbo Victor, Coordinator, SWAP Office, Ministry of Health. Thank you very much for coming. All right, without wasting or taking too much time, we're supposed to have a break right now, but I think we should just wrap up and call it a day. All right, but let's all remember that there's going to be group photographs, so we should not leave until it's time for group photograph. All right, we'll go to the interactive session, and of course, to begin that, we're going to be taking questions and answers first. Please, if you have comments, wait till after the questions and answers have been dealt with. So we're not going to be taking comments now. What we're taking is questions and answers. And then we take, of course, remarks by the dignitaries that are here, and then we'll take some comments from the general, people here. All right, so questions and answers. You're worried about some comments? Questions. No question? Questions, sir. Please come forward, sir. 30 seconds.
Yeah, to the principal investigator and the investigating team. Although I was speaking with Professor Bayeruju here, and she assured me that my thoughts has been taken care of. In the analysis of the effect of a firewood cooking on the raised blood pressure, I am actually interested in whether there were control for the parity of the women. And because our teacher, Professor Jengwede, taught us that the first pregnancies and co are still with a risk population in pregnancy. And I am sure that it's probably, you know, but I just wanted to hear from the horse's mouth. Then, the other one looks like a comment. Could your study be an evidence that the eclampsia and pre-eclampsia we are seeing among our women is actually due to this firewood cooking? That's my question. I have further comments later.
That'll be later. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Over to you, sir. Please kindly note the questions so that you can take them together so we can save time.
Okay. Thank you very much. My is a very short question. And I heard that they said there is a lower HAP exposure during the wet season. Is it? During the wet season?
Yeah, rainy season.
Lower, yes. Yes, sir. So I am wondering that during the rainy season or wet season, people tend to cramp together and probably may need to warm themselves. And you know, they will, so I expected
to be higher.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope that is taken, sir. The question has been taken, sir. Another 30 seconds.
Okay, good afternoon, members of the investigative team. My name is Mark Victor. I'm a medical student at the University of Ibadan, and I'm grateful for this privilege. My first question is, I know that this study targeted the most vulnerable people, the women and the children, but I just wanted to find out what the place of the fathers of these children or the husbands in these families were, because they'll be the ones likely providing the money for buying this fuel and stuff. So were they involved in any way in this program? And then the next question is, I'm just wondering if ethanol stoves were chosen for a particular reason over LPG cook stoves, or if maybe it was because of the socioeconomic factors, were they more cost effective, since I think LPGs will be more accessible to these families than ethanol. Thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay, so, Prof.
This is why I love coming home, because people listen and people ask questions. The first question on the parity related to hypertension, you know, some of these we may have, you know, gone through the data very quickly, but in looking at the different groups, you saw that there was parity. There was no significant difference between the two groups. Because when you look at parity, when you look at age, when you look at previous miscarriages, when you look at symptoms, we looked at the intervention and the control group, there were no differences between both groups. So we felt that we had eliminated, you know, parity as a confounding variable in addition to other parameters which were felt to be quite similar between the two groups. Because if you have two dissimilar groups, then you can't really say much. So I think our randomization showed that the two groups were comparable. Okay. And then the question is, do we want to use exposure to air pollution as evidence of contribution to preeclampsia? I think you could do that, because historically, I mean, there is more data out there to actually show or document that exposure to household air pollution or even pollution in general causes hypertension. You know, and you know, there are more people here who are not scientists, but the way it works is when you get exposed to air pollution, depending on your nutrition and the extent of the pollution, all your free radicals can protect you at low levels. But if you don't have good enough in nutrition and antioxidant system, then the exposure actually causes a prothrombotic state. You know, and if you look at where our end arteries are, the cardiovascular system, the CNS system, you actually have higher incidence of stroke and coronary ischemia as a cause of mortality than, you know, those of us who are lung doctors. That's a more protracted stuff. So when you look at that physiology and the, you know, the thrombosis that you see in the placenta, yes, over a long period of time, I believe it's a real contributor, but we haven't really designed that study to address that particular, but based on our observations, especially in that pregnant cohort, you could say that yes, hypertension, especially if you use kerosene, is a more deterministic cause than even PM itself, although both of them combine to bring out that bad effect. My dear Prof. Ariola, in terms of seasonal variability and PM, you know, one of the, when I looked at, we're not talking about climate here, but when we look at global warming and climate change, we know that in practice, people cut down the farm products at the end of the season. Before they start planting, they cut down trees and burn. We also cut down trees, creating the global warming that we see. In addition to particulate matter, we have black carbon that is another product of incomplete combustion. And if you look at it from this perspective, the half-life of black carbon is actually about 3 weeks, okay? And this is important for those of us who are from environment and public health here in terms of what can we do. Black carbon is actually one of the most important weather forcing agent because they stay up in the air, they absorb the solar heat, and then they drop on all areas and the ice stops, and they're more responsible for the erratic weather that we're seeing today. And if only we have what I call a global state of mind, and we're looking at the plight of poor people who have no other alternative but to cut down trees to cook or scavenger for what they can cook with. If we just have that empathy and eliminate the possibility of people cutting down trees for cooking and other methods, we can get rid of some of the climate change for a great extent, and it won't cost that much money. But you know, the people, those of us who live in well-developed economies, the problems and challenges of the low-income countries is not our problem. But it is because we live in the same environment, and the jet stream brings everything from Chicago to here, from here to there. The rainy season actually gets rid of the black carbon. The particulate matter, the half-life is just a few days. So when the rain comes, it just grabs everything and during the dry season, it's able to stay up there. And the bad thing about particulate matter is it has other adherent metals, lead, cadmium, PAH, and all of those. Well, Prof, you know that even the filters that we're using for all of this exposure monitoring, we are extracting metals on them. So it's not only particulate matter, there are heavy metals that are adherent on those metals. And if you think at it from this physiologic perspective, when you inhale the particulate matter into your lung, it triggers the inflammation and the damage that we see. The heavy metals on their own, independently, that are adherent or piggybacking on the particulate matter, they do the same thing. So you have the heavy metals, you have the particulate matter doing all of the damage. That's why the mortality is so high. And we're not even talking about the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or the forever pollutants that are carcinogenic. We haven't even talked about cancer and all of those longer term. We're just talking about the acute, immediate impact and what we can do. So yes, that's why there are seasonal variabilities, and the study that we showed also confirms that there are seasonal variabilities, that we wanted to account for that in looking at the pregnancy outcome in terms of when we recruited the women and what are the impacts on the exposure. The involvement of husbands and why are men not involved. You know, I have a health policy, a master's in health policy, and I know that even when people who are in government, especially men who don't care about, no, I don't want to be flippant, I have to be careful here. When people who are leaders don't care about their people, okay? When it involves women, when it involves pregnant women, when it involves children, they care, okay? So, and I'm from here. So in deciding on what to do after demonstrating the high levels when women were cooking, I thought from my own experience and to get the attention of people who are in power that focusing on pregnant women, we get a lot of people's attention. So that was the reason why we chose women. And the women in those households couldn't participate without their husband's consent. Okay, so, I mean, because they had to sign consent, they had to take it home. And you know our society here, women, unfortunately, can't just make their own decision. But I understand the importance of taking the consent form home, getting the buy-in of the husband so that the women can participate. The husband are not really providing the consent. The women are consenting to participate in the study of their husband. As another way of protecting our people from exploitation in research. In America, people will say the women should be able to make care of their own decision. But here, I see the husbands also serving in a role that protects their women by being aware and jointly deciding what to do. And especially the last study that involved children. You know, we required both parents to be involved and to give us the consent to work with their children. Why ethanol stove? I mentioned it earlier because the ethanol stove is what a lot of rich people cook with on their boats. Okay, LPG, people still have, it's a good stove. It's a clean stove when you're looking at tier rating, but people still have anxiety about LPG gas exploding and all of those things. When you look at ethanol, there were other reasons why we chose ethanol. You know, you can make ethanol because it's just distillery. It's simple chemistry, okay? You can make ethanol from cassava. You can make it from all of those floating plants on our rivers, and you know, you can make ethanol from residue from harvest and all of those things. So it's actually a lot easier to produce ethanol as a complement to the use of LPG. I'm not agnostic or just trying to say it's only ethanol. Anything that is clean is what we should use. So there was a psychological reason for choosing ethanol in that you can actually produce ethanol easily. It can be a complement to LPG. And the challenge is, and what I hope is that there are business people in here, because ethanol, based on what we have shown, actually has potential benefit, not only for hypertension, but for protecting population health. So access to the stove, access to the ethanol is a business proposition. You know, our ladies who have chosen to adopt ethanol for 13, I was so happy to hear on that video that some of these women have been using ethanol for 13 years. Because what I did is not for business. you know, thanks to you, I mentioned it earlier, I have a depot in Agbowo there where we have ethanol, and we buy the ethanol, we put it in there, and our participants have been buying it at cost. I'm hoping that this is the kind of intervention that the power people here, you can easily produce ethanol locally. And the collateral benefit, if you really want to know what I think, is you can create a farm where you just have cassava, you know. It can make farmers rich. Put an ethanol plant in there. They don't have to carry their product any further. It's there. You can provide, you can produce ethanol. The ethanol can power the production of ethanol without doing anything, and it will produce at least up to 2,500 liters of ethanol a day and generate about 4 megastop of electricity. If you look at it from having about 200 acres of cassava plant. We've looked at that, but I'm not doing it, but it's an opportunity for all of you to consider. I think I addressed the question of why ethanol versus LPG. Both of them are clean Tier 4 stoves. I'll be very happy if we can transition everybody into either ethanol, solar, or LPG, because they do the same thing, make the indoor environment better for living, and it also has environmental benefits from the climate change perspective. I think that's all, right?
Thank you very much, Prof. I think Prof also answered some of my questions, like the issue of how to localize ethanol. And I think it's one way, it's not just to look at the scientific approach to all of this, but to look at it from the business angle. So you want to be a distributor of ethanol, you know, the stove. You can see me, I'll be Prof's personal assistant, so that we can make good business out of this. All right, thank you very much. A round of applause for Professor. All right, so we go straight to stakeholders' reflections, including strategies for future and next steps. So I'm going to be starting with the Honorable Commissioner. You're going to be telling us, you know, from this conversation, the reflections, including the strategy for future and next step to prevent some of the issues that have been put before us and the way forward. So I'd like to start with the Honorable Commissioner for Health. Commissioner, over to you, ma.
Good afternoon, all my teachers that are here this afternoon. Good afternoon to you all. My teachers are part of the HAPCOG team, and also the principal officers from University of Ibadan, and also the College of Medicine, University College of Hospital. So good afternoon to you all, and thank you for the knowledge that you impacted into our lives over the years. I also want to thank all the permanent secretaries from the Ministry of Health, from the Ministry of Environment. I don't know whether we have a representative of the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, the permanent secretary from there. So good afternoon to you all the directors, the deputy directors, across the MDAs, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. Good afternoon to you all. Then the officers in charge, the representative of the Executive Secretary of the Primary Health Care Board, good afternoon to you all. All the OICs here from across the PACs, Oroyo, Akinyele, Olorishaoko, Agbogbo, Akinyele, good afternoon to you all. Then we thank you gbogbo àwọn bàbá wa, gbogbo àwọn orí adé ọ̀run ilẹ̀kẹ̀ tó wọ́n ń bí lọ́sọ̀ọ́ yìí, ẹ káàsán sà, ẹ dẹ̀ kú atọ́tọ̀ mi látàárọ̀. Then I also want to greet all the pregnant women or our mothers that participated in this research. Mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo yín àti gbọ́ nǹkan tí ẹ ṣe ẹ kú ìkàlẹ̀ látàárọ̀. Then I also want to greet all the medical students that are here this afternoon. Good afternoon to you all. Yes, you've made a day, and I was just discussing with the, Professor Olokpade concerning what I know happens in UI. And I was like, we can have clean stoves too, clean cook stoves, even at UI. It's something that we can do, because I know we are still using traditional cook stoves in UI. And I know a lot of students are coming up with asthma, exacerbation of asthma, and also hypertension. There's increased risk of hypertension, even in the university. It's something we need to look into and see how we can channel a way around it. Yes, the key reflections for me: first, household air pollution is both a health issue and a development issue. It intersects with poverty, gender roles, energy access, housing quality, and education. Women and children bear the greatest burden because of prolonged exposure during cooking and early childhood. We've seen from the discussion so far. Secondly, the effects of household air pollution begin in utero and extend across the life course. And so we have emerging evidence on epigenetic changes and early brain development, which underscores that exposure during pregnancy and early childhood can have lifelong consequences on learning capacity, productivity, and overall well-being of individuals. And so this makes household air pollution a critical concern for human capital development in our state, or your state. Yes. Thirdly, despite increased awareness of clean cooking, adoption remains low due to cost, availability, cultural preferences, and limited intersectoral coordination. And so with this, I put down that awareness is low, so we need to create awareness. The way forward is to create awareness. We need to have jingles, both in Yoruba, in all the languages, telling us about the advantages of clean cook stoves and the disadvantages of the traditional cook stoves, so that people can make informed decisions. And from there we know we need to create awareness. Awareness is very important. Awareness is low. A lot of our people, because of cultural belief, they still feel that, okay, and because of accessibility, the cooking with firewood is common in our environment, particularly in rural and peri-urban centers, because it's easily accessible to them. Some of our facilities, some of the areas do not even have accessibility in terms of road for us to be able to navigate and say, okay, if you have a plant here, they can easily access it and have it, and it's something that we need to look into. Then the fear of gas explosion. People will say, I don't want to use it. It took a long time even for people to adopt LPG, even at homes, because of this fear that, what if there's gas explosion? What will I do? And I still know that even in urban centers, we still have our people who are using kerosene stoves. So it's something that we need to look into. Then sustainability is another thing. How do we sustain it? Yes, for the people that participated in the study, they were given free of charge. But some of them still think that, okay, it's something that we are benefited from, and they can maintain it and continue with it. Well, we need to look at sustainability. Sustainability is very important. Then we need to have this social SBC, social behavioral change. It's something that we need to look into when we want to consider all these things. And so the way forward for me is that we start, just as Paul said, that charity begins at home. I believe you can start with primary health care, and I'm happy we have the representative of primary health care, the executive secretary of primary health care board here. Yes, we need to start from primary health care, and our response must be intentional. It must be multi-sectoral. We need to consider everything that puts together. So we need to integrate, or even the tertiary health care facilities. So it's something that we can do. So I'm happy we have the Ministry of Environment, primary health care, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. It's something that we can come out and probably roll out a policy that we can cascade to the House of Assembly and say that this has what to be observed because it's evidence-based, and we can do something that will help our women and also our pregnant women, our children, and also bring out something that we can go on foot. And he has told us cassava. People, we have a lot of farmers, we can encourage them to have cassava plantation, so that if you have people that are willing to have this ethanol production or ethanol factory, something can be done from there. So please, let's go back home. let's see ourselves and see how we can work together to come out with something that can help the good people of Oyo State. Thank you very much.
Can we please appreciate the Honorable Commissioner again? You know, one thing I love about her is that she's a policy-driven woman. She will not just speak, but she will speak to a policy that will affect the people positively. We give kudos to you, Ma. The Lord is your strength. All right, we'll go to the next. We're going to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, to please come forward to speak.
Good afternoon, Professor Ajambele and others at this side. Good afternoon, the Honorable Commissioner for Health, Oyo State, Dr. Mrs. Oluwaseyi Ajetumobi. Other provisions are here. Other permanent secretaries. I think I saw the PS Ministry of Health, Dr. Ayinde here, distinguished directors, deputy directors from the state service, those who participated in the study, the medical students from the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, our babas who represent the traditional setting, all other distinguished participants. Let me use this opportunity to appreciate Professor Ojembede as a as a career officer because of what happened in the ministry. When Prof came, I think it was yesterday, I made all of us to turn him back, but he insisted because there is a cabinet reshuffle in Oyo State. So the ministry, I can say we just have a commissioner designate. The commissioner in the ministry has just been moved to the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. That means I do not have any cover. And when you don't have a cover as a career officer, you want to be very careful. So I made effort to tell Prof that we don't have a commissioner. I said, you must see the PS. I said, there is trouble. So I just have to allow him in. And we know that we have to be here. Because what has been done, like the Honorable Commissioner for Health actually said, it's been done to assist all of us, even though the focus was on women to look at household air pollution. And as a ministry, the Ministry of Environment is quite key to it, and that is why we are keying into the evidence-based research that has been done by HAPCOG. And on this note, we want to appreciate the group as well as the University of Chicago and the University of Ibadan, the first and the best university in Nigeria. Let me say that I'm pleased to be part of this very important sensitization meeting, convened to share the outcome of a decade-long research on the impact of household air pollution arising from the use of firewood, kerosene and charcoal for cooking, particularly among pregnant women and children in Ibadan and its environment. I warmly welcome all the distinguished participants and commend the organizers for bringing this critical public health and environmental issue to the fore. Let me, especially as people and the organizations that have been able to talk about, household air pollution remains one of the most under-recognized yet profoundly harmful. Charcoal and kerosene is still widespread. While these fuels are often perceived as affordable and accessible, the health costs associated with their use are enormous and frequently invisible until irreversible damage has occurred. In order not to take our time, I want to say that the evidence shown the benefits of transiting to clean cooking fuels, improved maternal health outcomes, and the better development trajectories among children exposed to cleaner cooking environment. I found that simple, practical interventions can yield profound and lasting benefits. This research reinforces the reality that the kitchen environment is not merely a domestic space, but a critical determinant of public health. For government and policymakers, the implications of the findings are far-reaching. Household energy choices are not just matters of convenience or tradition. They are issues of environmental protection, public health, social equity, and sustainable development. Addressing household air pollution requires deliberate policy actions that ensure access to clean, affordable, and sustainable cooking fuels, supported by strong intersectoral collaboration across the environment, health, energy, and social development sectors. It cannot be done by just one ministry. Like the Honorable Commissioner for Health stated, thank God that we have people from the Ministry of Environment here. Not quite 6 months ago, I think there was a letter from the Federal Ministry of Environment that the federal government, they wanted to distribute clean stoves. Though they were to come in through the Ministry of Environment. But up to today, I think we just got a message that it has been given to maybe the senators representing the state. So that was the end of it. I know they must have distributed, but for us that we have the right channel, we link up with the Ministry of Local Government to get across to all the 33 local governments and bring those that could benefit from it, as well as Ministry of Women Affairs. They submitted the list, but when it was time for distribution, the ministry was not involved. So it is for us to have clear policy directions as to what we, going forward, what is expected of each of the stakeholders, the federal government, the state government, and the local government. And we all know the local government are actually so close to the people at the rural areas and the whether urban or semi-urban, because there is nobody, there is no residence that does not have a local government. So we should think of a policy that will actually capture those who are within the low income group that we expect to transit from using those traditional means of cooking to using those that will be environmentally friendly. That is, those that will be making use of renewable energy, like the ethanol that the study has pinpointed. This sensitization meeting, therefore, provides a valuable platform for dialogue, learning, and collective problem solving. It calls on generating relevant evidence on it calls on researchers to continue to generate relevant evidence, as well as for policymakers to translate evidence into effective policies on health, as well as on health professionals to strengthen advocacy and public education. While
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. We'll go to the next, and I'd like to invite forward a director from the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. That's Mr. Ojerinde, to represent the honorable people to be for Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, Honorable Balogun Oluwatoyin. A round of applause, please.
Good afternoon. The Honorable Commissioner for Health, Dr. Mrs. Oluwaserimi, Professor Jengbede, and other professors here. I bring greetings from the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, Honorable Toyin Balogun, who is unaffordably absent here today. I have a few reflections on the findings of this great research, and I would also like to tell this August gathering of the responsibility of the Ministry of Women Affairs towards the findings of this research. Well, as the Director, Child Welfare Department, with maternal health, the findings of this research are very critical, because they move from household air pollution from being a merely domestic or health issue to one that directly affects child welfare, maternal well-being, and social inclusion. I know that household air pollution is a child right issue. Our children, they deserve good health, and it also affects early childhood development of these children, their survival, and long-term productivity. Women and children, they are disproportionately exposed, especially in low-income households. Now, for the ministry's responsibilities in relation to these findings, number one, we have the mandate as Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion to protect our women and children in the state, particularly the pregnant women and young children. They are expected to be protected from preventable environmental risk. And so, we're going to embark on advocacy visits and also sensitization and awareness campaign to ensure that our pregnant women and also the children in the state, they are safe from this menace. When research shows that household air pollution impairs child development, it becomes a welfare and protection concern. And this ministry, Women Affairs, has a duty to respond through prevention, awareness, and social support mechanism. And that is what we have prepared to do. The other thing that we also try to do, based on the findings of this research, is on policy development and advocacy. We are going to advocate for clean cooking policy at state level going forward. And I will present this to my boss. And this year, by the grace of God, 2026, our advocacy on clean cooking policy will start. Then we're also going to support inclusion of household air pollution indicators in state gender and child policies. Also, this 2026 budget is already, is completed, and of course the implementation will comment very shortly. But we're going to influence budgetary allocation for clean energy intervention that is targeted at women going forward. Then we have existing women ministry programs. We're going to see how to integrate some of the findings of this research into our existing program. Number one is on maternal and child welfare program. We're going to integrate these clean cooking programs into women empowerment program going forward. We have series of women empowerment program in the ministry. But this clean cooking awareness, that some of our women, they are not aware of it. We're going to create this awareness going forward. Then antenatal and postnatal outreaches. In some of the medical facilities across the state, we have social welfare officers. So we'll sensitize our social welfare officers to ensure that they assist our pregnant women, particularly when they come for the antenatal and even their postnatal care, so that they'll be able to encourage them on how to maintain a clean cooking environment. Then we also have the mandate to train our social welfare officers across the state. So we're going to train our social welfare officers on how to identify household air pollution risk during home visits. Some of these social welfare engage in home training, visit, and so on. So we'll train them on how to ensure that they identify all that are attached to this clean cooking environment in various homes, and they will encourage our household on how to ensure clean cooking. Then we'll also train them on how to give us on practices. We have quite a number of orphanage homes, both private and state. Some of these caregivers, they are under the supervision of the ministry. So we engage them on several trainings and awareness programs to ensure that they maintain a clean cooking environment in their homes. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. That's the Director of Child at the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. All right, next is the representative of the Executive Secretary of the Oyo State Primary Health Care Board, and that is Dr. Oshoko Johnson Oluyemi, of course, to speak on behalf of the Executive Secretary. I'll give me a round of applause, please.
Much. I want to appreciate the privilege of standing before all of us to make this comment. The Honorable Commissioner for being a policy person. Let me add to it, she's not just a policy person, she's also a person who has remained a high motivation for all of us working with her. Thank you for being there for us, Pa. We're happy to have you there. I also want to crave your indulgence to stand on the existing protocol. She actually laid a very robust protocol, and I don't think anyone can be better than that. Please permit me to stand on that protocol. My weight is only 85 kilograms. It won't break that protocol, if you permit me. Thank you so much, Ma. I want to say I'm very glad to be here, particularly to put my own voice into this. In this era of reimagining primary healthcare services to provide quality healthcare outcome for our, I think this research work has opened our eyes to another dimension. What have we been doing before? We have been revitalizing. What have we been doing? We have been engaging resources for health, providing drugs, training, building capacity, for our health workers. But this one has brought in a new idea that will help us to maximize, the benefits of all the heavy intervention and the investment that government has been doing in primary healthcare services. These research findings have shown us the multiple effects that if we follow the onto us from pregnancy, a lifelong, lifestyle that will be very highly productive, for the children and at large. So I want you for sharing this information for us. Now, going forward, how do we get this done at our rural level? You can be talking of Bodija. It can be very easy at Bodija. It can be easy at Ikolaba. But I'll be talking as if I'm from Aguamodu, where we don't have even the LPG you are talking about. We don't have ethanol stove. We are there kerosene stove. I will involve all sectors, not just in the health sector, the women affairs, the community, and that's why I'm so glad our traditional leaders are here, because it will require behavioral change training, how our people will move from using their traditional firewood, charcoal, stove, into using ethanol gas. Thank you that some of us are already generating interest, how to go and build an ethanol plant in those villages. But when he acres of cassava, I begin to think twice, that how do I raise 200 acres of cassava? Well, let me tell you the good news that in his saying, we already have a plant that is producing ethanol. It's along his saying Adoawaye Road. There's one big company there. Yes. So as Hope Rising, we're going to talk to her to extend to other places so that we can have ethanol and use it for our cooking. As PHC, we would have to let our staffs, our workers, get to know this information. The community health workers, the community health extension workers, the MOHs, and everybody in the primary healthcare sector need to know this and share this information with them so that in our clinic, every encounter with our pregnant women, we begin to tell them this good news. So we need to share this good news with everybody that matters, and so every opportunity we have with pregnant women, with family, we'll be able to, share this news. Now, the male factor becomes very important here. However ready the women are, if their husbands are not cooperating, we may not go far because of the economic implication of transforming from that our traditional fuel into this ethanol and this stainless stove. I don't know, sir. Hello, sir. May I, on behalf of my people, ask if it is possible they have a partner that can help us provide this ethanol stove, this stainless type that rich people are using. We would like to have it in our villages. I hope my request is granted. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Shoko. All right, we will call on the next, and that is the matron in charge of Akinyele Primary Health Care Center, and Abimbola Rachel. As she comes up to speak.
Thank you, ma. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a commissioner, signing on a system protocol to greet every one of us to this program. Now, my guys have been mentioning many things. I want to talk about the challenges that we have during this implementation of this household air pollution. We have many challenges that I want the people that are here to see to by the time we are advocating this program. We have challenges on during this program. Their husband, some refuses about implementation of this gas stove. Some accommodating us, and during the program, the mid, they rejected. So that when they were this and they want to take it all around, I want the advocating to be much aware, so that people will be aware of this program. They should make sure that the implementation, when it wants to start again, or creating awareness, they should make sure that it goes a long way, so that people will know that it's very, very important and it's effective. Now, during the pregnant mothers, but by the time we are recruiting them, there are many challenges on this health issue. People are about malaria, they have malaria cases, they have hypertension, and we remove some of the people out of this program because of their health issues. We base on those that have no challenges about their health. We base on women that they are HIV free, and this is also going to happen during the next implementation. Those that are HIV free, there's no any evidence of sugar increases or whatever. So we have by the time we are going on, people that we dropped some clients, they were giving us challenges. There's some facts, or there's an argument that why do they drop them? And we make sure that we maintained privacy of our clients. That is, there's no problem. It is the program that dropped them. Immediately that they have any challenges, we dropped them. That it's not in our own part to tell these other people that are asking about other people's health that it is this issue that they have makes them to drop out of the. So we need to make them to be there's confidential on this work. That is, if there's any challenges about the patient, we don't have any cause to discuss with anybody around them or any of the relatives. So I want the way forward to go around, and people should let this this thing to be collaboration through the ministries and the environment. The Lord will help us. So that's it.
And please just celebrate her. And I hope that, when you go to the primary health care centers, you see that when they are having pregnant women programs, they usually carve out songs. I don't know where the matrons get those songs from. So we're also giving you as a mandate to go and carve out a song that will talk about reduction in air pollution within our communities, because it usually sings more. And I tell you, they take those songs home, and you wonder where these nurses get the songs from. I think we should give them a round of applause for very much. All right, to speak. You make it very short because of our time. I'd like to call on Are Oladapo Wasiu. He's the Baale of Aroroland, Akinyele local government. Please, a round of applause, a round of applause.
Good afternoon, all of us in the hall. I will stand on a CC protocol according to my predecessors, but I would like to appreciate Emeritus Professor Ojengbede for always calling us the traditional users to partake in all this kind of thing. While also recognize, appreciate, thank to God for Professor Sola for this laudable program relief on us. I did just back to my maiden language, because Yorùbá ní ibi Ọlọ́run ni wọ́n ti sọ. A sì ní máa sọ fẹ́tọ̀fẹ́tọ̀ níwájú àwọn tó kọ́ wa kí la fẹ́ sọ níwájú ẹ̀yin professor. So nínú òdòdó tí mo ti lè yí mọ́lẹ̀ tọ́kùn máa sọ tí ó wà lọ́kàn mi. On behalf of the Olúbàdàn of Ìbàdàn land ọba Senator Dr. Rasidi Adéwọ̀lú Àkànmú Pópóọlá Ládọjà Àrùsàwá. Once again, kábíyèsí o, torí ìdúró mi lónìí mo represent kábíyèsí ni, èmi ni ààrẹ gbogbo baálẹ̀ ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn tí mo dẹ̀ ní baálẹ̀ 256 lábẹ́, so mo dúpẹ́. Kò sí ààyè ìran náà kẹjú torí ìpàdé gbogbo ilẹ̀ baálẹ̀ ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn ń bẹ lọ́ọ́ báyìí tí mo sì já ààrẹ wọn, so ìyẹn kò tẹ̀ ní jẹ́ kémi kó waste time so ìṣẹ́jú méjì péré náà ni wọ́n lè lò ẹsẹ̀ ń jó èmi gan ṣùgbọ́n yóò yẹ wọn ni ó yẹ ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yìnyín kẹ́nu sèmí ó sì yẹ ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ olóore ẹni torí tá a bá dúpẹ́ bí ọlọ́ṣà láṣẹ dàpọ̀ akẹ́rù ni so Professor Ṣọlá tí wọ́n ṣe program yìí for good 20 years mo kọ́kọ́ bá ń dúpẹ́ ọpẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ ni pé Bill Gates kọ́ ni inventors of computer is Charles Babbage so ẹ̀yin lẹ wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lẹ complete yẹ so Bill Gates complete iṣẹ́ computer ni Charles Babbage ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ti Lady Lovelace ó assist yẹ gẹ́gẹ́ bí girlfriend yẹ so níbi eléyìí ẹ̀yin lẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lẹ parí ẹ̀ ẹnìkan ọba ń parí rẹ̀ ẹ̀mí yín náà ni ó máa lò ó. Àkọ́kọ́ ìgbà tẹ́ gbé sẹ́mínà wá ó dáa púpọ̀ jù very timely why àsìkò táwọn olóṣèlú ọ̀bọ̀ ọ̀tá rèé wọ́n fẹ́ wọ́n kọ̀ wọn ò lè pé táwọn ọkọ̀ òlùbó àtọ̀jẹ́ professor àtọ̀jẹ́ teacher àtọ̀jẹ́ politician àti commissioner yà wá abẹ́ baálẹ̀ kan lẹ́fọ̀ọ́ sí ibì kan lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ àwa lọ́kọ̀ òlù so ń di eléyìí tí wọ́n bá ti ń dé táwọn sọ fún ẹni pé mọ́gbẹ́ kànga tẹ́ ẹ̀dá omi síta ní romi lóṣù mẹ́ta mọ́ nídìí bọ́ o níta nídìí ní kíni o ẹ̀ka nọ́ọ̀sì o. torí pé àwa gangan lẹ́ràn lọ ìdí tẹ́ fi ràn wá lọ ni pé àwa la súnmọ́ grassroots gbogbo yìí yòókù létí géètì yín máa rí baálẹ̀ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó bẹ́ẹ̀ kó ti pálásì ẹ̀ máa rí tẹ́nìkan bá wúkọ́ tòrútòrú dandan ni wọ́n wá kẹ́lẹ̀kùn baálẹ̀ àròpọ̀ wá gbé lọ hospital kò gbọ́dọ̀ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ torí gbà tí ọgbà kínní wọ́n ti sọ fún pé wọ́n fẹ́ sojú ìlú ni sẹ́ńdì tá à ń gbà bíi stipẹ́ndì tọ́ra àgbà sálárì kọmísánná ìjẹun fún anẹ́rì stipẹ́ndì lásán tẹ wá ń fa ìlú ńlá tó ń ná sí àtọwọ́ ṣe tíá ilé ìjẹ́ pé baálẹ̀ tí ọba ní sọ́lọ́ tí fi ń gbalẹ̀ kálukú ọ̀lọ́ wá sẹ́sẹ́ ni so ọlọ́run ní já máa gbalẹ̀ so economical reduction of expenses inú tẹ gbé wáyé lọ́wọ́ kò sí ẹni tí kò ní dínkù because ẹ sọ pé health is wealth so ńgbà tí èèyàn bá lálàáfíà ní sẹ́ńjì tó wà lọ́ọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀nà àwọn tí wọ́n sì wà ní usage ẹ má bínú o àwọn mọ̀ọ́yàn bíìlì lórí 50 naira èèyàn sáré step lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́jọ ìsìn ní ọmọ mi hẹlẹ́hẹlẹ́ yìí receipt wọ́n máa pariwo lórí 50 naira so ẹ má bínú o so adúpẹ́ ẹ̀kejì ni pé research tẹ́ ẹ ṣe gan your own personal benefit tọ́lọ́ngó reward yín ni pé ẹ give back to the society so it's not all everything is not money either by kind of value so ẹ ti ṣe kan fún gbogbo wa táàrí mú lọlé mo wá sọ fún on behalf of the council of traditional baálẹ̀ Ìbàdàn land pé our part-time progress pẹ̀lú yín lórí àgbọ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ ní tí a bá fẹ́ fún yàn ní nǹkan ìbéèrè pé tọrọ ẹ̀dá àkọ́kọ́ ni pé a fẹ́ ṣe 100 days sí Olúbàdàn of Ìbàdàn land torí wọ́n ti pé 100 days ìjẹta téèyàn bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ 100 days fún yàn yóò ní àṣeyọrí gbogbo wa la mọ̀ pé issue of land grabbing ó ti kọ́kọ́ lọ ọlẹ̀ ẹ ti ń fọkàn balẹ̀ economic impact wọ́n ti set up committee ìyẹn ló wú àwa balẹ̀ náà lórí afẹ́sẹ̀ 100 days wọn so December 31 la mú níta àdẹ̀fẹ́ gbé lé náà ni pé promotion of traditional medicine against orthodox medicine ní ìsìn àfin tẹ̀sí náà kúnnú tíìmù wa tó yẹ pa dìlífà níjọ yìí ntáwa náà gbọ́ ìgbà á develop paper lórí abáyé dìlífà rẹ̀ sójú òní tiwa. so bí mo ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí gbogbo sẹ́tẹ̀ wá ṣe lónìí àwa lẹ́ràn lọ àwa náà sì ti gbọ́ àmọ́ wọ́n tó wá sọ pé lẹ́yìn èèyàn náà a tún gbé gbogbo àwọn traditional institution torí bàbá làwọn abálẹ̀ ó tó pèlè márùn àwọn kan ju baálẹ̀ lọ the royal highnesses the royal majesties and the imperial majesty so àwọn tó ju ọ̀gá wa so gbogbo sector sókù náà the women ni o ìyálàjẹ ìyálóde àfẹ́kẹ́ tún organize seminar náà fún wa kí a kó gbogbo wọn síbí kọ́dẹ̀ yìí wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yóò ní dàrú gbogbo ẹni tó wà nínú thank you very much.
ẹ bá mi ṣe kábíyèsí o kábíyèsí f'Olúbàdàn tilẹ̀ bàbá ẹ bá mi ṣe kábíyèsí o ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ baálẹ̀ we thank you we appreciate you anytime he speaks well and you would wonder how a baálẹ̀ would speak English without, having to come back to his local language. We appreciate him for all the good things, including some policies that have come out from what he has said. We would like to go to the next. I would want to ask if Professor Shola Olokpade would like to still come and speak, but is it necessary that you speak? one comment. Okay.
When I decided we were going to do this give back, and this has been ongoing for 20 years, I had no idea that it would turn out this way. Because we started with the community leaders trying to figure out what their needs were. It was a way of, our own way of giving back. And, today has actually been a fantastic day for me personally, to see from the grassroots to the commissioners, the intersectorial approach. I just feel very, very happy and accomplished, because as professors, yeah, we do stuff, we publish papers, but giving those papers legs to influence and help our people was a primary reason we started doing this over 2 decades ago anyway. So hearing that ballet, expanding it to the local communities, honoring, taking that, the investment that I got from the university and the opportunity to give back has been accomplished. And I just want to thank everybody for being part of this very important journey, because nothing would make me happier than to see this collaborative approach to protect our women and our children, which are the future of any society. And if we can protect their ability to grow up as healthy, well-meaning, smart kids, it makes life better, even for those of us that are getting close to our retirement ages. So it doesn't get any better than that. So I want to thank all of you for your commitment, your comments, and willingness to partner with us as we hand this over to you. So thanks to all of you.
And this tells me, Prof. And this tells me that the children we see on TV, the white children we see, and we think they are genius, did not start anywhere, but it started from their communities, having a safe environment, free from air pollution. So it begins with us. All right, to have the closing remarks, I'd like to invite forward Professor of Obstetric and Gynecology, Director, Center for Population and Reproductive Health, University of Ibadan, Professor Oladosu Ojengbede. Please, can we celebrate Professor Oladosu Ojengbede, the Emeritus Professor? When you talk about women and children, just be rest assured you are talking about Professor Oladosu Ojengbede. The men are not included, even though he's a man, but it's just about women and children.
It's such a very gladdening moment for me and all of us on behalf of all the members of the team. Because at the end of it, when the result of this study started coming out, it was like, Professor Falade is retired. I'm retired. There's one. Who is going to continue to do this? Young people from mental health, from pediatrics, to assist to conclude the study. And the study is good only when it has changed the quality of life of people, not when you have publications. And I mean, people, the biologists don't care about publications, they care about their own people. And that is why we made the representation at this meeting very wide to include people who are really involved. when I told the ballet Aroro, as he said, he's the president of the ballets. And for the students and residents who are here, these are the sources of our successes as academicians. You know, I told him 2 days ago, he told me about this meeting they are dashing for. And I said, ballet, please, Ewa, and he will be there. So you need to network as well. As a young researcher, you need to network with people. Your mentors will lead you to know more people you can stand on. Anyway, all the Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much. I want to thank each and every one of you for making time out to come. We are glad that all the line ministries, health, women affairs and environment, they are here in the primary health care, and they've spoken very well about the way forward. So one or two things that I just want to mention. I tried to get the chairman of the House Committee on Translating Research to Policy. There's a committee in Oyo State. Oyo State is a place setter. There are many things that exist that we don't know. I tried to get the chairman of that committee to be here to make a commitment, but unfortunately he wasn't around in Ibadan. But I'm sure that all the ministries that are here, the Honorable Commissioner, with their connections with the Assembly, they will let the Assembly know about the importance of getting a clean environment for our women, our children, and family members to live. And so we need their input. Thank you for coming. I also told him yesterday, he's the director of, that is the new mantra from the Federal Ministry of Health. So it's like he's representing the Federal Ministry of Health in this state. I saw him yesterday in the ministry, and I said, please come. So please, sustainability is question of demand and supply. If more people use it, I think people will like to invest in ethanol production. So the more we propagate it, the message, and more people begin to use cleaner source of energy, ethanol, LPG, whereas ethanol, this study did not condemn other clean sources of energy. In fact, they've come to justify them. So thank you so much. Please continue the good work as we live here. Oshola Olopade and the wife will be working, it's like when they left school, within the touch. And so we'll be working together. And thank you for the hard work, for the leadership you provide. And for our peers in Nigeria, Dr. Adeni, Professor Falade, Professor Gani. I call him, his name is, he has the same surname as my father's first name, so I call him Gani instead of his surname. Thank you so much, members of the study. If we were to tell the details of some of the samples or data we collected, which we have not even talked about, oh man, it's awesome. For these chaps who are in their shirts, beautiful hard work they did. And please kindly appreciate them by giving them a round of applause. For the managers of the hall, we thank you for allocating this to us so that we could use it. It's a beautiful place. And God bless everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof, and thank you very much, everyone. On this note, we'll be having the closing prayer, and then we'll all go out for group photographs, and we'll call it a day. But don't forget, you have the ethanol outside in case you want to get some. You also have the stove outside in case you want to see what it looks like. All right, let me invite Professor Ganiyu Ariola for the closing prayer. Prof, please kindly come over for the closing prayer, and then we call it a day. A round of applause for Prof. Please, let's all be standing.
Praise the Lord. Oh Lord, we thank you that we started this program. We thank you for what has transpired during the program. And we thank you that we are ending the program on a new note. Oh Lord, I pray that the success of this project and some other projects will be ours, and that you will always guide us, save us, and provide for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Thank you.
Please, can we give him a round of applause as we all step out? Please, let's all step out for the group photograph. Remember that this is one of the things I do for a living. My name is Jadesola Ajibola. I work with the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. I'm a broadcast journalist, so thank you very much for coming on behalf of Center for Population and Reproductive Health and Healthy Life for All Foundation. It was nice working with you.